No, look. Oh, there's another one right there. See them? They're like triangulating me like raptors. I just kind of got freaked out because they're both staring at me. I'm like, oh, this is where one comes at me from the side. That was straight Jurassic Park.
I've seen a lot of footage of deers assaulting people, more than you'd imagine.
Well, apparently there's a shitty one up in Alt Park that goes after people who walk dogs.
Oh, he's still staring at me. They're still staring at me now over here.
They ain't scared of you, man.
They ain't scared of you. That's right. There's a whole herd of them. For every two you see, for every two you see, there's another 20.
Dude, the coolest thing, we made this nature trail back here, and on Easter morning we were hiding eggs, and the boys were like, hey, look, there's another trail, and another house made their own trail and joined it to ours.
Yep.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
Nice.
Yeah, it's what happens when there's young legs to roam around. Those things occur.
It's the makeout. I made a makeout spot for my son is what I did.
Oh, man. So I asked you guys to do this, and I just was trying to make it as casual as possible, but I am recording it and posting it, just so you know. So if you would be so kind as to introduce yourselves and say where you are and what you do, or at least as much as you're willing to say. Go ahead, Jason.
Sure.
Hold on. What is my audience here? I need to know.
Well, I'm going to tag you and Jason, so it's going to be legend, probably.
Okay. Should I stop smoking my pipe?
No.
That's what's in your pipe.
That's right. That's what's expected of you. We're all going to assume the worst.
All right, introductions.
I heard you can't judge during COVID.
No.
Oh, really?
Sorry,
my name is Jason Wilcoxin, and I am a pastor at Legend Community Church. And right now I'm a stay-at-home dad. And
It's a good gig.
Yeah, great gig. I'm drinking a lot because of it. I don't know what other. I have not watched any of your broadcasts. What other introductions should we do?
That's it. That's all. It's all good. They're literally just conversations, and I admire and respect the fact that you've never seen one.
Dude,
Justin.
At some other point, you need to let me tell you what I thought this call was going to be about. Because I was talking to Chris, I was like, "What do you think he wants to talk to us about?" And she's like, "I think you're going to be on his like podcast show." I was like, "What podcast show?" She knew all about it. She's like, "He does a show like all the time."
God love her.
I was like, "Oh."
And me too now.
No, I knew you did a show. I thought you were just doing it with former musicians or dude you played music with.
No, I mean there was some of that. In all honesty, I just started doing it because I feel like all these circumstances are more momentous than is being given credence right now, and I just wanted to get a sense from real people, whether I knew them or saw them all the time or not, what was going on. And I selfishly wanted to spend some time talking to other people besides my family.
Yeah.
Yes, that's fun.
That makes sense.
So,
okay.
Go,
my name's
man.
Justin. And what did you say you did, Jason?
I said I was
stay-at-home dad.
He said he was a pastor.
Okay.
So
I'll claim that then. I
Sure.
am also a pastor. But I also have become in the last year a full-time illustrator. So I do kids books, comic books, whatever people will pay me to draw. I do that.
This is awesome.
And I up until this week I've worked at Starfire, which is community building for people with disabilities, but I don't work there anymore. So it's time
well, hey, do you mind expanding upon that a little bit? Because that's one of those like direct impact things that I think people would like to hear about. Tell me a little. Just tell me a little bit about what Starfire was and what it did and why it's not happening now.
Right. So we are a service that it's called home care provider for people with disabilities. But our thing is community connecting. So we're one-on-one. So I one-on-one each week with 3 different people. We would go spend about 3 hours in the community. And it was about connecting people who mainly it was using my privilege to be able to talk to anyone and walk into a store and be looked at as normal, and to bring people who people may not look at them that way, and to use my
little did they know about you.
Yeah, exactly, right? There's a lot of assumptions there. but to use what I could to help people build community in their own communities. And so that work, like stopped. You know, you can't do that. So
Right.
they've done a
Yeah.
lot of virtual things. But at the same time, the point of it is to let people connect to their communities, but in real authentic ways, like to really build relationships, not just, you know, watch people on TV. So it's the work stopped for a bit.
Yeah, that makes makes a certain amount of sense.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I mean, you were talking about building community or something. I mean, you guys both said you were pastors at Legend Community Church, and just in full disclosure, that's my church.
Oh, look at that.
It's where I go and I play with the band.
We paid Scott to put us on this show as advertisement.
Well, like I said, I mean, the viewership is, like I said, if I tag you, the viewership will be the church, and that'll be it, and that's fine. You know, but I only say that stuff because, you know, I mean, there's at least a handful of friends that have known me for a long time that are going to see this and be like, what the fuck? And, you know, you know, whether my beliefs align exactly with you guys or not, what you guys do, I think amazingly, and what makes me feel, you know, comfortable being part of it is what you were talking about before about community building. I mean, you guys have this very welcoming thing, and it's a network, and it's a support structure, and it's, you know, and, you know, you obviously have the teachings of Christ behind it, which I don't know who could have objection to, but I guess people do. And, you know, I just wanted to make clear that I think it's a pretty cool thing. And you guys were very, very quick as a church to decide that we're gonna meet virtually, or at least some approximation of said same. You know, I thought yesterday was cool. You know,
It was cool.
It was. It really was. And, you know, this goes back to why I was doing this. It's great to see people, and it's great to, you know, to get a sense of all of us being in something together, which I think is something that's going to fall by the wayside as we go further down the road.
I think a lot of us had some anxiety about the virtual world sort of taking the place of real life relationships, but in the absence of being able to have real life meetups and real physical like relationships and stuff, this I've been amazed at how much of an update, or like how much of an upbeat this adds to my life by getting just to connect with somebody once or twice a week. Like not all the time, but like we have a standing dinner with some friends, and then we have the just shit show of our happy hour on Friday nights.
Which it really is.
I mean, and it gets worse by like 8:30, 9 o'clock. It just turns into a free for all.
Well, I told you last week we came real late, and there was very few people left, and it was incoherent to say the least.
Well, my kids asked me, they're like, "Are you doing that happy hour again?" I was like, "Yeah, why?" They're like, "Well, you just yelled at each other the whole time." I was like, "Nobody's mad. It's just volume."
Yeah, it's the assumption that you can't be heard. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, life is good.
No, I was just gonna say that you know, there's no substitution for contact, and you said before about, you know, people being leery of the virtual world. I don't know if necessarily people are leery of it, or if their expectation was that it would be better than the real world instead of pretty much the same with less, with 2 dimensions. You know,
the Catholic Church is terrified that if they really get into broadcasting mass, that people will stop going to physical mass.
Well, that brings me to some questions. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how much you guys want to talk about this. I mean, I obviously go to
No,
your
I have a
church
lot
and
of questions about it. That's good. I want to talk about it.
stuff.
Because I was
but that's the thing,
I was real anti it in the beginning, where I was like, no.
Anti what?
Always the virtual meetups in my head, like, because I was like, you know, because there's a giant church in the city who does all their crap like through video, and I'm always like, that's so dumb. You know, that's not authentic. That's not, you know, people. You know, I wouldn't get my ass grabbed by you once a week if that was the case. And so
it's nice to know you miss it.
No, we need a physical presence in people in each other's lives. But what I have come to see, at least so far in this whole thing, is that this does matter. Like, even me right now talking to you, I feel present with you. And I guess I wouldn't have guessed that I would feel as much presence as I do. I thought it would have been like fabricated or cheap or weird, and it is weird, but
that's true. But I mean, don't you think that some of the presence people are feeling in these circumstances now that they might not have before maybe comes from the more pronounced absence of it in other times? You know, it's just one of those things. I mean, my teenage son, you guys are right here with me, he's going insane. I mean, he really
Wow.
is. He careens between psychosis and sullenness and silliness,
Yeah.
and it's just, you know, he doesn't even consciously understand that the problem is that he's like a caged fucking tiger. You know, he
Right.
doesn't get to go. He hated school, but he doesn't get to go every day now, and
Right.
he'll claim that's not the problem, but he's losing his mind. I mean, he really is. I mean, we're talking. But when did this all start for us? February, March 13th, Friday the 13th.
Is it officially 3 weeks now? 3.5 weeks?
I think this is the 4th, isn't it?
Was it the 4th? Wow.
Yeah, I think the 13th was 4 weeks ago last Friday.
Well, my wife,
Wow.
my wife's not all that extroverted. Like, she doesn't like large crowds of people.
Is she
And,
going to work?
She's going to work every day. They're gonna have to take her out of there at gunpoint before she stops going to work.
Yeah, that's the way Driscoll's wife is too. I mean, let's not get too personal about it, but they work the same place. But I just find that crazy.
Well, there's
I don't
nobody
know
there.
why.
There's nobody in her office.
Is that it? She's the only one.
She's like, there's 3 people in the office, so it's not a big
Yeah.
deal. And the kids aren't there. But even she felt like somebody stopped by just on the sidewalk and had to talk with us while they were out walking the neighborhood, and like she's like, oh, it was really nice just to have a real conversation with somebody.
Right. It's really easy. Like Elliot's got a little friend that lives a few blocks away named Lucy, and Lucy's come by a couple times, and Christina.
Oh, we know Lucy.
Yeah. So Christina sits on the porch to police them, you
Right.
know, and but I can't count how many times it's been the same circumstance. I'm walking the dog or something. I'm talking to somebody. I'm not measuring 6 feet.
Right.
But back to what you were saying
Yeah.
about the church. I mean, there's been a lot of controversy about large congregations insisting on having their services, especially yesterday. You know, you guys have said
pride,
before,
man.
like the biggest celebration in Christianity is Easter Sunday, right?
Right.
Right. I mean, that's the big to do. And but at the same time, you know, when you're talking about, isn't some of the concern the tithing? Isn't some of the concern the function of I mean, some of it relies on it, right?
I would say that's almost all the concern, especially for most.
I'm trying to give you an
churches.
out here.
No. That is, I think it's 2 things. I think it's pride, and I think, it's money. Those are the 2 worst things that exist within
Right.
Christendom.
Period.
Or the
No,
church
you mean
in general.
period. You mean
Yeah.
period.
And so many pastors are so type A. Like Jason and I have always been partners in this, which everyone told us that you can never do. Can't do it. It doesn't happen. It's impossible. But because of pride, because like, it's my thing. I'm doing this. I have this. I'm talking. Everyone's listening. There's just a lot of that. And then if you start wrapping that into that's how you're getting paid. Well, if they're not showing up, they're not dropping money in the bucket. So therefore, then you put that under a guise, and I think it's an honest guise that they don't know anymore. I think they've forgotten, but it is under like, no, this is what God wants us to do. Of course he wants us to meet. And so you could tell yourself that lie really easily and probably believe that lie really easily. So I don't, not that I think everyone is charlatans as much as I think they're just very misguided.
That's good.
And their ego has gotten the best of them, I think. That's my thought.
I think it depends on which church you're talking about too. Like Solid Rock, like that theology is so strange, just in general. Like it's wrapped up in like a persecution complex where they're terrified of the government.
Yeah, it's just another variance of fundamentalist nonsense.
Totally. So they're an oddball, but they've also got this massive like miraculous healing part that's a deep part of theology where they really don't think they're going to get sick. But like the number of pastors who are having services and then dying within 2 weeks, accountable at least.
Is that really a
It's not
thing?
funny.
It's not funny.
Is that a thing for real?
Oh yeah.
There's been a couple. Yeah, I've seen a couple reports of them. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, people are dumb, man.
Well, there was one dude who was going to go to China and solve it. He was going to go like pray the COVID away in China, and he got there and died within 2 weeks of getting there.
It's not just in Christendom, though. I actually had a conversation with someone who met with their shaman, and their shaman went into it, and this is a local shaman in Cincinnati, went into a deep trance and found COVID and talked to him, or whatever it is, and had a long conversation about like, oh, I'm just here for a little bit and I'm leaving. And they were telling me this. They're like, well, that's what the shaman said. I was like, all right.
Dude.
Okay. I didn't know we could have conversations with
Dude, I want you to call that shaman right now. I want the shaman to join the 3 of us for this conversation.
Yeah, just
awesome. I was like, all right.
Text me the email. I'll make it happen.
I could probably get it for you. It was someone who Well, they work at Trader Joe's, if that tells you anything.
I don't know what to think about that. Are they still working? They're still open at Trader Joe's, I assume.
Yeah. Trader Joe's doing the people I know work at Trader Joe's got raises because and share profit sharing privileges because they're doing so well.
See, I part of me likes to hear stuff like that, but part of me's just like, I don't know. I mean, I hope that the employees of Kroger's are getting that stuff too. I mean,
Kroger's just got a
know.
raise. Kroger's
Good.
employees got like a $3 an hour raise plus bonuses.
Good. You know what? But the only thing that would make me, the only thing that would make me feel better about that is if they were hiring more people too.
They are. Oh, dude.
Are they?
You could go to Kroger's right now and they'll start you tomorrow.
Amazon?
Yeah, I think it's
Amazon's
Kroger's and Amazon and Subway seem to be like really on
Subway.
all the,
What are they doing? Are they running a great Grubhub service or what?
Yes, on all the streaming platforms, like those previews, those three keep coming up a lot. Like you go to your local Subway or Kroger and Amazon, all of them. Those are the ones that seem to be pushing it.
Monty went to work for Amazon for a while and he just quit because he didn't
quit.
He quit after a week. He just didn't feel like it was safe.
Shit. There's been protests and walkouts about that.
He said they bumped. He said he got an email right. Well, he didn't quit. They told him because somebody on his shift got COVID, and so they said if you want to take a month off, there'll be no consequences. Take the month off. But he got an email the next day that they were bumping overtime pay to $40 an hour on that shift, and they were giving you 60 hours of overtime if you wanted it.
Yeah, it's called hazard pay.
Yeah.
I
go through somebody's electronics around.
Shit. See, that's the thing is I don't know, man. I'm so torn in this whole circumstance. I want the economy to continue. I want, and I don't really consider it profiteering if you find a way to make money during this circumstance that you couldn't before. But at the same time, I don't know. I just really feel like that we're going to end up on this shelf that's more unrecoverable from than just the virus itself. I don't know.
I think
you think?
I do. I mean, this it's like this bailout. I don't know if either one of you guys saw any of the press conference today with Trump, but it's so oingo boingo. I can't even make any sense of it. But this bailout, I mean, there's such a huge portion of this money that's been approved by Congress that's just going towards companies to lend to people and profit on interest rates. And it's just, and I know interest rates are low and the profit margin is not that great, but it's still not. It just doesn't sit well with me. I just don't understand.
Well, it was a good reminder for me, like, because I was at an event after this all started with a bunch of folks, and they were really critical of the shutdown part of it. And my first response was like, man, there are more important things than money, but like, these are folks.
There's not to some people.
These are folks living paycheck to paycheck, right? This isn't like some ethical, moral dilemma for them. This is whether their bills are going to get paid next week and their kids are going to eat. And so, like, I'm all ready to have a conversation about how this exposes like larger structural problems in sort of the American economy, this kind of thing. But for individual people, individual working class people are just really struggling, right?
Yeah, it's like I got to get paid. I don't give a fuck about the other stuff.
Well, and everyone's like,
but it means you got to get paid at the cost of somebody else's life, though.
Right.
Well, I think I keep laughing as everyone's like, hey, make sure you're eating all the local places. But I'm like, we can't eat out more than none. We can't eat out once a week now. That would be way crazy, man. We just don't have that kind of money, and which is fine. But I'm like, some people are like, oh, we're doing it 3 or 4 times a week, and I'm like, that's great, but I can't do that.
It's terrific, and I like to see the ball rolling too. And I was trying to talk Christina into getting carry out from the quarter that I worked at, but I mean, carry out from the quarter for a family of 4, $70-$80, and I know. I'd love that restaurant to still be there when it's all over, but
I'd like my house to still be here when this is all over too.
Me too. Yeah, me too. And I just wish my gut would shrink instead of grow.
I have appreciated the amount of conversation I've had with my street and neighbors. I have talked to them more than I ever have, and it's good. It's to the point where I'm like, oh, when this is over, if we all recover, I'll have a stronger relationship with my neighbor, my direct neighbors, which is kind of cool. I'm into that. To throw a positive
see, that's the thing. That's one of the things I'm hoping for, is to get a sense of, how people are preparing themselves for what comes out the other side. Obviously nobody knows exactly what's going to come out the other side. Now, back to what we were talking about before with the church and survival and so on and so forth. We're comfortable, right? Legend's going to survive no matter how long we're locked down, right?
I wouldn't say
Yeah.
no matter how long, but it's like we're good right now. We're not worried at all through the end of this month.
Okay.
We'll have more data after that to see what happens.
Sure. And obviously, I mean, I would think, I mean, you guys, you know, one of you said before about, and I've heard both of you say before about how nobody said you could build a church or do it this way, do it the other way too, and whatever.
Nobody said we should.
Yeah, that's a good distinction, actually. Well, you know, either way, you proved them wrong. And I know you guys work. You know, I know you guys kind of work tirelessly towards growing the church. But you know, in all honesty, man, and this is just an outsider looking in. If you guys went to your grave with Legend being exactly the same size it is now, the impact you'd left on the lives that were part of it would be indelible.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, the other thing about what Legend is or has become is, I worked at 5 other churches before here where I was like an employee of a system.
Jeez, you're a slut. My respect for you has
right?
diminished so much.
And those churches where you just were working your job, and you know, in a church was just like an organization. You know, you go to a bigger one or a better one or whatever. But what we've done here, we kind of joke like, "Hey, I've rendered myself unemployable for any other churches because of the things that I do." But B,
maybe it's the things that you post.
We can't walk away. So even if tomorrow, like Legend said, okay, we officially don't have a website and a logo anymore, like this group of people are still a community of people that won't stop, right?
Right.
Like this is, so in that way, nothing can shake it. You know, are we drawing paychecks from it? No. But something's been built, and I do agree that wouldn't die. That just would keep going.
Well, I mean, sadly, you guys are going to know me forever.
Yeah, you're stuck with us.
No, it's the other way around, man.
Well, it's a good dude. Like, the other joke on that is like, we don't have any friends outside of this. Like, well, like let's say tomorrow, I'm like, I'm done with that. I quit. I hate doing it. Like,
Crossroads hang out with. Sweet job.
No, and that's not, you know, I've talked to you guys. I mean, you guys both, I mean, we have people that we know mutually that aren't part of the church.
Right.
You know, it's just, I mean, you guys are gregarious enough people that I think you'll always have relationships, but it's, you know, it's never going to be the same again. I mean, I just said it's never going to be the same again.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure what I'm referring to, but I mean, that's what I want to know is what you guys think. I mean, both of you guys, I mean, all of us, everybody, you guys said you've never seen any of these, but everybody I've talked to on these, and I've done, you know, more than a dozen of them now, 2 people every time. I mean, I've talked to people, there's going to be fundamental changes and stuff, but everybody's been very, very fortunate. Everybody's been relatively comfortable and able to ride and speculate. I mean, is it going to stay that way? I mean, there are reports this weekend about food industries struggling, you know, meat processing plants shutting down because everyone's got a virus or whatever.
AMC, the largest theater company chain, is
that's Fievel's going to lose his job. Yeah, they're filing bankruptcy protection. Yeah.
Gosh, that's right. He is at AMC. That's crazy.
Yeah, and I told him, and he looked at me for a second, and I thought, oh, it's getting through. He understands the impact of this. And then he went, I didn't really like that job.
No, I don't. It's weird. I'm probably the most anxious guy in this conversation generally. I don't have a lot of anxiety about this because, I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. It's just a waiting game right now. I don't sort of buy the doomsday. Like I think it was like Bill Gates saying no more mass gatherings until there's a universal vaccination. Well, that's nonsense, right? Or I saw Dr. Fauci say, well, nobody's ever going to shake hands again. That's nonsense. Like it's unfathomable to me that that's true. And if you came over today, I would still offer to shake your hand just out of habit. Like I'm not.
And I take it out of habit.
I haven't processed this down to that level where I'm not touching people or I'm intentionally. I'm watching other people.
It's like you can't wash your hands afterwards, for fuck's sake.
Right.
I don't know. What'd you say, Justin? I'm sorry. You're reading a little digitization.
I'm tired of washing my hands. Oh, am I? Am I digitizing?
Just a little here and there. Most of the time, it sounded like kind of a good rap remix, so it hasn't been a problem.
Nice.
But actually, I can't miss this opportunity since I have you know, a couple of religious individuals. And how do you say it? Is it theologian or theologian? How do you say it? Theologian.
Right?
Theologian's right.
Yep.
Okay, so even though I'm pretty confident you guys both share similar educational backgrounds, I can't help but see, Jason, you more of a theologian than Justin.
Oh yeah,
just,
absolutely.
just because of the presentation.
So I would say
I wear that with a badge of honor. So yes,
I'd say it'd be better to say historian than theologian. Justin has lots of theology thoughts that he wouldn't call theology thoughts all the time, but I have a different perspective or envelope that I look through it at than Justin does all the time.
Okay.
But also because Jason is who he is, it allows me to be more about, because I know that any of the like good, strong things that we need to think he's going to cover. So I can kind of go out there a little bit more because
you
I know
let him play the heavy.
Grounding us.
No, you let him play the
exactly.
heavy.
I'm into that position.
Bad cop all the time.
Yep, every day. I actually recognize that circumstance. But you know where I'm going, right? We're in the middle of a quarantine during a pandemic.
Yeah.
We've had arguably one of the strangest decades in weather history, historically, right? With me so far?
Yeah.
Come on, bring it on. I want to talk end times.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I did not know where you were going, man.
That's awesome.
No.
That's great that I had to drag it out. Let's talk end times because people are talking like this is it.
It's not.
Jason's out. Jason's like, I'm gonna do a shot and I'm logging out. You guys have a good night.
No, I'll go give it a shot and then we'll have a good.
Go do a shot. I can't join you.
I've got Jameson downstairs.
But I'm not there.
Justin and I have always wanted to do like a drunk Bible stories version of Drunk History, where we just get hammered drunk and tell Bible stories, which I think would be awesome. I used to be terrified of the end times. That was one of my introductions to Christianity, was being tired and looking for signs of the end times all the time.
Just really quickly, the whole end times thing was one of the things that kept me out of the church.
Good. That's a good thing. The end times
I was just like, come on, I'm not living under this yoke.
Yeah, the end times thing is mostly nonsense from a historical perspective.
Yeah, I mean, you probably heard me tell my story. I was told all the time, like, you have to do these things. In high school, they were like, don't have sex, don't do drugs,
I didn't go to that
and
school.
don't drink, and don't
because
say
it was up to me.
And you'll be good, and you won't burn in the lava lakes. You'll be in heaven. And so I was like, well, all right. So I remember being 18 or 19 and thinking, well, I guess I did it. I guess I'm good. Like I can check, my eternity off the checklist because. And then I was like, okay, well, clearly this is all wrong. If me being me, just because I did these 5 things, I'm not going to burn in lava lakes now. That was the day I was like, okay, all of this is really wrong. There's something really horrible there. So I'm not an end times guy. I don't see the God of the universe or the divine presence among us as something that is, out to get us, that we're gonna die here. And if we're lucky enough, we can stack our chips and dodge God's, barrier.
There's a price to be paid, but the cashier's at the end of it all.
Right. So I'm not an end times guy at all. I think I actually would say I don't think the Bible even is an end times book at all. But that theology became really popular for a while, and it probably kept
that comes and goes. Comes and goes. And it depends on the popularity of the groups that adhere.
Well, and it's like zombie art. Like it comes and goes when zombie stuff gets popular when the world's changing, right? So The Walking Dead gets popular when we start to see massive cultural shifts in the world.
Okay.
So
it's a reasonable assessment. Since the whole thing originated in the late 60s, which might have been the biggest cultural shift in the United States.
Exact same thing. And so end time stuff, I think, is similar as like a Christian version of that. It's a bad reading of scripture, but so I think I would always caveat it with, I do think there will be an end times. I think there will be a time when
but when it's all over, we won't be able to look back and say it was there.
Yeah. We won't be able to see it coming either. And that's the thing, is like, look at who's saying this is the end of times. They're always wrong about everything. Like that particular movement is wrong about everything.
Yeah. I mean, those are fair assessments. But that being said, do either one of you see a circumstance where this event or a series of events, however it ends up unfolding, Do either of you see a circumstance where anything gets back to the way it was? Say January, December.
I mean, I think so. I don't know if you read. I put an article on Facebook the other day about how like this is going to turn into the biggest gaslighting event ever, where we're all told that nothing really happened. We should all just go back to normal, go back to buying stuff, go back to working as hard as you can. Go back, and that's actually my question.
I think I saw that.
My question is, how much do we want to go back to? I've enjoyed so. I miss going to the pub with my friends, right? I miss like having people over for dinner. I miss those things that I miss, but I don't miss like chasing after kids' schedules from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day.
Right.
I don't miss having meetings every night. I don't miss the stress of those kind of things. So like that would be my question is how much of this do we want to go back to?
And that's fair. But you know, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm a catastrophizer. Who knows? But I can't shake the feeling that there's big aspects of society in the United States, anyway, which is obviously the only one I know, that are never going to be the same. You know, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that I won't ever be in a circumstance where I can go see a band with 400 of my closest friends and pack shoulder to shoulder, sweaty as shit in front of a stage. I don't know if that's ever going to happen again.
I'm planning on going to that Foo Fighters show in October.
Yeah, but the thing about a Foo Fighters show is you'll be packed, 6-8 inches apart from 30,000 people, 575 feet from the stage.
Right, that's true. That's true. This was the summer. This was the summer of great, like, big show rock shows in Cincinnati too, and I'm really upset that those got canceled.
Well, I'm still trying to get some people on here to talk about the impact for like musicians and festival promoters and stuff like that. I haven't found the right people yet. If anybody has a suggestion, let me know. But
all my musician friends are struggling right now. Like all my musician friends are struggling, from people I know that tour all the time to people that I know that just try to make it in their city.
Right. And see, that's the thing is it's almost, did you need to handle something?
No, it's my idiot kid.
I've got 2 of those. I think Justin has 3.
Well, I do.
No, it's a good question. My guess, so I've got a book, actually, if you want to read it, it's really interesting. The book's called What If We're Wrong? And the whole
that was my favorite question after 9/11.
Right.
And maybe it's long enough now to that's the whole thing is people are like, well, these people are, I'm like, well, what if we're wrong? What if the people that bombed 9/11 because of their religious beliefs, what if their God was right and we all needed to die? What if? I mean, we don't really know, do we?
Right.
Really?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a solid question. But the premise of the book is just that.
Is it?
The premise of the question we're asking will always be based on what we already know.
Right.
And so our questions are already limited by what we already know.
Right. Yeah.
So we're never capable of imagining really things that we don't know. So the things that are going to come next are things that we don't know.
Right.
Dude, is that an old school? Is that a Nintendo 60? That's a GameCube behind you.
Oh, it is a GameCube.
Are you
right here?
Are you playing? Yeah. Are you playing?
I have one game on it. Can you get? If either one of you can guess the one game inside it, that's the only game I own for the GameCube. I'll give.
All right, I want to guess.
I'll give it to you. Each get one guess.
I'm gonna go Rogue Squadron.
Congratulations, you're the owner of a new GameCube. Look, wait, here, I gotta wait.
Rogue Squadron might be the best GameCube game I ever played.
What were you gonna guess, Jason?
I was gonna say Mario Kart.
Oh wait, it's not exactly right. It's actually Rogue
Squadron
Leader.
2. Oh, Rogue Leader, the sequel.
Oh wow!
I'm still gonna give it to you if you want it.
But no, so the premise, I really like the premise of, whatever our predictions and our questions are all premised by what we know, and what's coming next is almost always certainly something we don't know, and so it's always a surprise.
I mean, I love that, and it's kind of, to present it that way is kind of hopeful and stuff. But it's kind of like the same as saying you're going to do whatever it is you're going to do. It doesn't mean you can't prepare for an eventuality. Sure, yeah. It doesn't mean you can't project to a certain extent and have these contingencies in place.
Are you buying Delta stock right now? You should be buying Delta stock in Starbucks. People are going to still buy coffee. You should be buying Starbucks stock, right?
I can't believe the people that are still buying coffee in Hyde Park. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. Somebody the other day, I was talking about that on one of these the other day, and I was like, apparently coffee shops are essential. And somebody said, well, what are people going to do? And I'm like, make coffee at home? Wait, what do you mean, what are they going to do? Coffee
Emporium's got 6-foot markers all the way down the sidewalk because their line wraps around their building all day.
Right. Right. And at the hardware store, I understand it. At Coffee
Yes.
Emporium, I think it's ludicrous.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's great.
I don't know. So what's your guys' gut on, have you noticed that the reports on the increasing stats have almost disappeared, and all the reports now are about the fight between the governors and the president on when we're opening it all back up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'm hoping for selfish
Meanwhile, the
reasons,
numbers are records the last 2 days. Like every
Yeah.
day is a new.
I'm hoping we're back to some sort of normal by mid to end May in Ohio. I'll be interested because obviously New York is a tragedy. So like that regionally it's different, but like my wife travels to New York once a month for work. So like
Still?
not now, but
Right.
going back, if we move back towards normal, she can't be going to New York all the time.
No, you wouldn't think. I mean, well, what's this the thing? Define. You said you'd like to see back normal mid-May. What do you see that as? I mean, the new normal is not going to be.
Yeah, I'd like to see the hospitals open back up. I'd like to see Justin be able to get the foot surgery he was supposed to get.
Elective
No.
surgery?
My elective surgery is gone. Although it hurts it jacks my body up.
Yeah,
I mean,
elective.
I don't mean to make light of your
Elective
surgery.
sounds so pejorative.
Oh,
but
no,
it's
no,
not
it's
really
fine.
elective, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm hoping I'd like to get to a place where it was safe to have in-person church again.
Yeah.
I want to take my kids. I want to go kayaking this summer. I want to go camping. I want to
See those things. I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but you and your kids who have been together and seen where everybody's been for X number of weeks going kayaking is a much different circumstances than even us who all know each other getting together, 50 of us in one room at one time.
100%.
And I just, someone was talking the other night about staging it and how to be careful about it. And I just don't know. I don't know if I have the faith in the human race to do that the right way.
Well, that's the hang up, right? With the government is, do we believe they know how to make a good decision here?
I'm down to less than a minute because I'm on a time fucking thing. But it's a great point. I mean, the thing isn't there a sizable percentage of the population that's just going to assume it's the right decision because the government says so?
right. Oh, definitely.
I assume so. It's not letting you just re-up. I thought they were giving free re-ups now during the.
See, here's the thing. I didn't do that deliberately because I understood deep in my heart that nobody wanted to listen to anybody talk for more than 40 minutes anyway.
Because we could do this for like 4 hours.
We could. And what we should do is we should plan a time where there's no recording or anything. And we're just, what we should do? Let's try and get this Friday, Jason, let's get a Legend Quarters game up where everyone can have their own glass and their own quarter and pick whoever they want to drink.
I love it. I'm in.
Right. Because that's
Seriously.
Because that group's not getting drunk enough already.
Right, but it is add a whole new who asked for it. And if it's right, if everyone's doing it right, it's just going to be plop and then pick somebody.